and welcome to Team Liquid's strategy guide series for Aberrus the Shadowed Crucible. My name is Aya, and today I'm going to break down the mechanics and strategy for Mythic, the Amalgamation Chamber. Now let's hop into how to defeat the Shadowflame Amalgamation. As always, we'll assume that you are already familiar with the mechanics present in Heroic and speak only to Mythic changes regarding boss and ability behavior, as well as their strategic solutions. Several abilities undergo important evolutions from Heroic to Mythic. Corrupting Shadow and Blazing Heat no longer have a duration. Instead, to remove these debuffs on Mythic, you must pair with a partner afflicted with the opposite debuff. When you clear Corrupting Shadow, Blazing Heat, or both, you are debuffed for 20 seconds with the appropriate lingering debuff. The way you acquire these debuffs is the same as in Heroic, where both bosses pulse the appropriately flavored debuff. We've got a very neat strategy to deal with this evolved mechanic, where instead of having entire groups of players move across debuff fields and clear with the appropriate partners during this movement, we'll simply swap the bosses between the split raid by way of taunt swaps. This allows each group of players to not only stay while gaining throughput and removing risk, but it also allows players to have a designated partner who would be close to them and easy to clear with, while enabling everyone in the raid to maintain uptime. To accomplish this maneuver, we'll have each tank taunt the opposite boss immediately after the second Fiery Meteor Soak in Phase 1. Everyone will have 9 to 10 stacks of Lingering Shadow and/or Blazing Heat at this time. After the bosses have been swapped between groups, everyone in the raid will have their previous stacks as well as 1 stack of the new boss's debuff. At this point, everyone should clear with a pre-designated partner on their side and be able to easily remove both debuffs. With the mechanic handled, you should be able to continue on to push into Phase 2 with no further swaps or clears, allowing the transition to clear the debuffs as you enter Phase 2. In terms of damage intake, Shadow and Flame is the best use of personals in Phase 2. Your raid should look to allocate raid-wide DRCDs to the Gloom Conflagration Soak and Explosion combo. In Phase 2, we will want to use gateways to deal with Gloom Conflagration casts 1 and 3, and use either Stampeding Roar or Wind Rush Totem for number 2. There are also a couple optimization paths we can look into for Phase 1 before we wrap up the guide. We'll want to split our raid evenly between each boss to minimize the amount of health to go through and thus the time we have to spend in Phase 2. Depending on the amount of faith you have in your raiders, you can split the raid in half and have 10 players go to each boss if you want to be as safe as possible. If you have more faith, you can allow 4 or 6 players to stand in the Venn diagram between each boss and damage both adds for the duration of Phase 1. This will leave either 14 or 16 players you will still want to split evenly onto each boss. The players in the middle should be playing specs that gain a healthy amount of damage from being able to hit both bosses, such as Destro Warlock, Affliction Warlock, Shadow Priest, or otherwise. These players and their healers should be aware that they will be acquiring high stacks of both debuffs and adjust their play accordingly. They should also be aware that they will be clearing amongst themselves and plan accordingly. And with that, we very much hope you found this guide useful. Please feel free to leave feedback or commentary below this video, and make sure to keep your eye on the channel as more guides will be coming out soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you for the next one.